4080. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady.
Hero when he came. I remember you saying that because
that nigga saved East Coast hip hop.
You said that because we had all of the Snoop and all of that going on and the NWA and
you remember that.
And you was like, he's my hero. And listen, I love Illmatic. I just don't think track for track, song for song, record for record, it compares to Ready to Die or Reasonable Doubt. I put Illmatic third.
I could definitely.
And you know what other album I think is great?
I could definitely argue.
I mean, everybody got that's what, but that's a good. We don't have to agree. That's what makes it great.
We could definitely have a
beautiful. You know what album I think is one of the greatest albums ever too?
I think Biggie's album's number 3. And actually, I think Biggie's album's number 4 because Cuban Links, Raekwon shit is in that discussion.
I like Cuban Links, but I don't put it up there.
So Biggie's album is number 4, and the reason why Biggie's album is number 4, and I'm giving you know how me and Quan fight, and Quan has feelings, and I give stats because all of Biggie's big records were damn near remixes. Okay. Now,
I mean, like I said,
now to give him now to support him, okay, his street records were acid. When he did unbelievable, but fucking get it. Unbelievable. Forget it. He almost
act with the Mac in the act door panel.
He almost rewrote how you should do your street shit. Like he put out Unbelievable, nigga said, whoa, that ain't the fucking record. Pull that shit back because this record right here has changed fucking everything.
Crazy. For me, I think it's just.
And,
what album I think was great? Chronic 2001.
No, that record was great. That's a good record.
2001?
2001 was great. That was great.
I thought production, everything, it was a monster. It was a monster. I don't know.
But that didn't come out 2001.
I know it came out before. They called it Chronic 2000.
No, I'm saying that wasn't when Nas and Jay and them came out.
Right.
No. This is after. But I'm saying it's still. I'm just looking at the top. What I say are for me the greatest albums ever made. Like To Pimp a Butterfly. Those I'm talking about song for song, cut for cut, lyric, beats, music, everything. Concept.
This is what I don't get about people who say that with Biggie's. Like Biggie had a few songs that were kind of trash on.
Absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Like, Jay didn't have no records that were trash.
But what was trash? But what was trash?
Was the one with him. The one with him and Biggie. That was the only one I didn't like.
Oh, that's my joint.
Clark Kent did.
That's my joint.
With the fucking happy piano.
Yeah, that's a sample from.
Like,
what's the group? The Ohio Players are one of them. That's from them.
I didn't like that record.
I love that record. Love that record.
Although I liked what they were saying, I hated the beat.
I thought it was different. I love that joint.
But Biggie had shit on that Ready to Die album that.
But what was trash? But what else was trash? But what else was trash though?
Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
I didn't think that was trash.
I thought it was trash.
And who the fuck is this? Paging me.
That was dope. Warner was dope. But there's
Give Me the Loot wasn't great.
Here's the best. Again, not records, not feelings, impact. Okay? Reasonable Doubt didn't have to go back to redo anything.
Right.
Illmatic didn't have to go back and do anything. Okay? When they did the remix of One Love and the remix of The World Is Yours, we all said, sorry, we're fine with the album version. Okay? Biggie went back and remixed songs to make songs work. Okay?
So you don't get the Barge version of
One More Chance.
Stay with me or One More Chance.
You don't get it. You don't get it.
Although I did enjoy the album version.
Yes. Okay. But what he did do. Okay. So what?
Again, it was kind of what he did with Unbelievable.
Yes. So lyrically, okay, and the street records was what puts him in the conversation. Because you can say very clearly, like, Unbelievable is as street as Represent on Illmatic. Yeah. Or as street as, whatever you want to pull from Reasonable
Doubt.
Yeah, Reasonable Doubt, that type of thing. So there, okay? But those albums, the original one that was put into the streets is the one that people treasure. The original Biggie album had to get some tweaks and stuff to kind of get it where it had to go. And I'm not saying that doesn't make it wrong. I'm just saying that that's what technically happened. Right. If you want to get caught up into what's good, what's bad, or what's indifferent.
But wait.
There were no tweaks on Only Built for Cuban Links.
Yep. But you don't think,
and
you don't think that was
Links.
just Puffy wanting to do remixes because he was so happy about the album and promoting the album and wanted to
go.
Let's do this version, let's do that
Yay.
version.
Ooh me,
you love it so much.
ooh me, pick me. This is where the street team angle of what goes on with hip hop became a major problem left and right, because you only had so many room on mixtapes, you only had so many rooms on the DJ. You had to make your space and make your place. Okay, this is the beginning of Funkmaster Flex becoming the flex person that dominates the airwaves. You had to make a place and space for your records. You could have just assumed that you put it out and they would discover it. So you had to do things. So watch this one. So Puff strategically, just genius stuff now, worked his way into doing these remixes. Wow. How? Because he said, you know what I'm going to do? You see this Flex motherfucker's about to be big. He's about to be the biggest DJ in New York. You know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. When I remix the flavor in your earrings, I'm going to put his ass in the fucking video. And he's going to be the guy mixing the record. I'm going to give him the record first. And I'm going to start the video with me, bad boy. And then the very next person you're going to see is Flex. So he's going to feel like he's part of this movement. Right. So now when I give him a record,
which was an incredible record.
Okay, no, but I give him any record.
One of the greatest records.
When I give him any record, he's gonna be like, I gotta play this record for Puff. Because I wasn't on a TV screen until this guy put me on one. And once his remix took off, and I'm in the video, that basically catapulted me to being Radio Funkmaster Flex.
Right. Because remember, Hot 97 wasn't a thing then.
Right. So now what you have now is you have, and I'm just using labels now more than an artist. Now you have Loud Records trying to make sure their records are being heard. You have Def Jam trying to make sure their records are being heard. You have Jive Records with their Tribe Called Quest of the World. You got Tommy Boys with their De La Souls. You have Uptown Records with their hip hop things. They're all trying to get their place in space. Okay, and they're competing and they're fighting. So it is a little bit of the records being the records, but also playing a little bit of chess. All right, everybody. It's industry rule number 4080. He is Jesus. Okay, he's stealing out. That's crazy pants. He's already told 4 stories that he should have waited on already. He's in the middle of one right now. Okay, so let's let Mr. Eric Lee. You want to go back and tell the video story
or is
first?
it there?
No, don't worry about that. You talk.
All right. So what I was saying is,
start the story over.
So I was talking to a guy at work.
What's his name? Jethro?
Nah, he's a Castro. He's a guard there, and he's a Golden Glove cat who's in the Golden Gloves. So he was talking about how he remembered Video Music Box, which led me to talk about older stuff. Like I was like, do you remember New York Hot Tracks? He's like, what is that?
Do y'all know New York Hot Tracks?
Yeah, of course. So I was like, that was like one of the first video shows. He's like, oh, I don't think I was born. So then he started talking about the radio. Yeah, like the radio. And he started talking about Marley Marl. I was like, no. I was like, Mr. Magic. He was like, yeah, you mean Mr. Magic with Marley Marl? I was like, no, Marley Marl wasn't there. We're going back, bro. There was no Marley Marl. We're talking about Mr. Magic. 105.9 WHBI. And I said, I remember, this is where my love.
KRS-One says on Outta Here, by the way.
I love Outta Here.
WHBI.
I love Outta Here.
Just giving you reference.
Love it.
Keep going.
But that start, I think, was a true start of my love for hip hop, was recording those shows. How I discovered it, I don't remember. If I stumbled over it or how, I don't know. Somebody said it. But I was literally in the 5th, 6th grade. I was in elementary school with a little radio, trying to stay awake to hit record. The tape would pop. I would wake up, flip it over, recording Mr. Magic. And then I would go to school and I would tell people about, I heard this on the show, and I would say the lyrics and I would say the hooks. And then, what else? I would bring my little radio and play it for them. They would come to me like I was information for what was going on. And I did that for years. And then I went on to other shows. I was like, you ever heard of the Supreme Team show? There were Righteous Guys who had a show. He's like, nah. There was the Supreme Team show. There was Hank Love. There was the Zulu Beats. I used to record all those shows. So I went from, this really is what made me love the music, because I would play the songs and then I would say the lyrics to people, which led me to start writing my own lyrics. You know what I'm saying? And then made me want to MC, and that's when I started MCing. But just to go back, way back then.
I used to make my tape rock till my tape pop.
I really did that. I didn't smoke weed. I was too young to smoke the bamboo
Not
and
yet.
sipping on private stock. Nah, I was
yet.
11, 12. So that's why I try to tell some of these youngsters, I
old
was
were you when you
here
first
from the
started smoking
beginning.
weed?
I never smoked weed. I never liked. One time I tried it, it ain't my thing. It's just not me.
So while you were doing that, I was told that I should not be on my phone during these podcasts because I look like I'm distracted and I don't care. But I was on it for a reason, because there's something very unique as a parameter in music I want to kind of talk about. I want people's opinion on it, okay? So this is the 25th year anniversary of Reasonable Doubt. And if I'm correct, the 25th anniversary of Illmatic. Okay? Watch this. But it's the 20th anniversary of Blueprint and the 20th anniversary of Stillmatic. So how's that for irony of both of those projects?
Yeah.
Okay? So now, with your energy being was scroculous, I haven't said that in years.
Because I got good rest today.
Yeah, because you got good rest.
I got good rest.
Here we go. Here we go. Debate. Better album. Reasonable Doubt or Blueprint? Which y'all consider his best two albums, by the way.
Okay, for me, there. You know what? This is where we kind of where for its time we gotta kind of
don't do time.
You know
Just do
what? No, you
albums.
know why?
Compare albums.
Because when Illmatic came, when Reasonable Doubt, pardon me,
stay
when Reasonable
focused.
Doubt came out,
Yes.
right? And I first heard that, the way it moved me and the way it impacted me was different. Now we're in a different time now with Blueprint, and is different kind of production. It was different. I think Reasonable Doubt was a harder, more street album. Blueprint was more radio. It had a lot of radio songs. It had more. It was street, but it still had. It was more musical. I think the Reasonable Doubt was very raw. You had some instrumentation, but I think you had more on the Blueprint. But I love the Blueprint now. But it's kind of that thing for me where the first is always, where the Reasonable Doubt is, it's the first is always the greatest classic.
So which one you taking on a desert island? Which one you taking on a deserted island?
Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
For me, because
Okay, we asked
and
you.
you know, but the thing to me,
like-
you know
he's
what
like
it
an
is for
inverse
me,
quad.
and you know what it is for me.
Canceled.
For me, is you know what it is for me. To me, that song was lyrically strong. Impact. It's the lyrics. Just to me, he had good lyrics on the Blueprint too. But the Reasonable Doubt, I think by far was his best lyrics ever.
This is an outstanding debate. Because for me, without freaking question, it is Blueprint. Because that album is the only album of Jay-Z, people going to debate, fight, put it in your comments, that start your car, go shopping, go do what you want to do. You will listen to the whole album, and then you will stop it at the end. It is the most complete album of all of his albums that has a combination of street, stories, radio, concepts, the whole thing. Second thing is that, remember, this is when the world's discovering or arriving at the fact that Jay is not writing down rhymes. So when he's doing this song, you hear girls, 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 and you like how he breaks down the verses of how he has basically each verse has 4 to 5 different types of girls, and he's giving like analogies of each
dope.
one.
That was dope.
And then at the end of each verse, he wraps it in a bow and brings it back, and you're like, this is all in his head.
It was dope.
I repeat, this is all in his head. There's no pen going to paper on this. Right? This is batshit crazy. Like the creativeness of what's going on. Okay, starting with Izzo, that type of thing.
Shit.
I was like, well, I have like 4 songs. I have like maybe half the album recorded. Then Song Cry. Like at the end of the song, I'm just saying that, and because it just feels that. I guess this is my basic way of saying 2 sentences. Reasonable Doubt was created and crafted as an album that was going to be made as his first album. Like we basically said, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do.
Introduction.
Okay. When Blueprint was done, Jay was just out of his mind saying, give me what you got. I'll make it work. I'm just that guy. He was on skates at that point. He was at his MVP status. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like Steph
His
Curry,
prime.
Steph
Yeah,
Curry
his prime.
MVP point where he was writing and stuff like that. Because it didn't matter what he was doing. He was just murdering every single record. And that record had a very myriad of a lot of different producers. You had Trackmasters on there, Primo on there, Kanye, Just Blaze. There's a lot of different producers on that album. And he made it all work and bring it together by what he did lyrically. So that's my point. So I'm not disagreeing with either one. I'm just saying that it's the irony that one's 20 years old, one's 25 years old. They're perceived as bookmark albums. As far as greatness, I'm saying it's ironic about that. All right, here we go. I know what the answer is going to be for everybody else, but I'm going to fight it a little bit. Illmatic or Stillmatic?
For me, I love Stillmatic, but it's Illmatic. For me.
Okay. Now, only reason why I'm gonna put a little caveat for Stillmatic, Ether.
Ether, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Got yourself a gun. Where The Sopranos was huge. That was a
Oh, yeah.
beast of a record. Okay, beast of a record. So what it did more than anything else, although I agree and make it unanimous that it is Illmatic. Stillmatic was I am an artist that can make albums. I'm not a Queens rapper that needs to be A&R'd. I now can go make my albums. I know what to do. I'm good.
That wasn't what I got from Stillmatic.
I mean,
The thing is okay, y'all I've been fucking up for a couple of albums. Let me y'all the stigma was out there that he was making whack albums. And
or trying to make radio records. Just radio records, right.
Trying too hard to go in a direction to get whatever,
The label wanted, whatever the case, whatever that might be.
The label wanted,
right.
etc. And then Jay calls him out on it.
And then he comes back and does. Well, that's so.
And then it's like, okay, let me prove that I still know how to do this shit because I'm mad.
I think we're saying two sides of the same coin because my
same reasons why.
Right. Because after Stillmatic, Nas was no longer perceived as a rapper. He was perceived as the artist, Nasir Jones. Like he makes albums now. Okay, he's not a rapper, and by the way, he's a good rapper. And because remember, before it was he was crafted, right? MC Search walked him around and took him to Q-Tip and took him to Pete Rock, right? And the Trackmasters came in and put him with Lauren and worked on his albums. And Steve Stout was his manager. So it's basically he was being managed as the voice, and we'll give you the records. By Stillmatic, he's making albums, right? Because after that, you get I Know I Can. You know what I'm saying? That's him. That's not Trackmasters. That's not Steve Stout. You know what I'm saying? Lou? That's not Puffy. I Know I Can is Nasir Jones. When he makes the record with his father, that's Nasir Jones.
Yeah. I want to add this. He did an album that's one of my favorite albums that wasn't everybody else's, and I love that album, the double CD. Did you ever listen to the double CD?
I listened to every
with
Nas
Live
album.
Now, the Street Disciples to me was a great album. It didn't get the play. It didn't get the attention. I don't know why, if it was the timing when it came out or whatever. But he gave so much. He talked about his daughter, his wife, when he got married, about this, about the Live Now is real creative.
Well, so that's the album. That's the album where he was allowed to say, or he basically says, "I'm gonna make my album." And they said, "Go ahead, make an album."
One of my
And he
favorites.
discovered at the end of his album, Good, Bad, or Indifferent. And again, it's no different with anything in life, whether it's an artist, whether it's a movie, whether it's, clothing style. Like, you know what the formula is. The formula is that Nasir Jones is absolutely an artist, but he's an A&R person.
And he showed how creative.
He
he showed how creative he is when he did the title song, Disciples, and it basically was a dedication to Coogee Rap. He rapped just like him. He used the beat to with the piano.
I got you.
And with the Disciples, and he says flowing like he said it like G without the list though. Incredible, but people didn't catch on to that album. Great album.
So now I'm going to A&R it, hindsight being 2020. Okay, too many damn songs.
Oh yeah, double CD with a lot of songs.
Number one. Okay, too much because you can't do things like Hate Me Now and then move on. Okay, it's like what you do is what you do. And what people attach themselves, see, artists make this one of the top 3 reasons artists go downhill is because they decide they want to make what they want to make without remembering
What got him
what
there?
got them and what people like from them.
Right.
Okay? It's not even what got them there. Okay, because if you want to talk about that, you can say, well, then you're gonna make protect your neck all
What
the time.
you like about the artist, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes
What
sense.
they like about you, okay, and what they want, and I'll say it clearly, what they want to hear from you. That's
yeah.
the best way to say it. Okay, so when you make
they expect of you.
when you make songs like "If I Ruled the World" and you make songs like "Hate Me Now," you can't make "Streets Disciple" without it. Can't do it. Okay, you cannot do it because people are gonna say, "I spent $20-something to buy 2 albums to not hear one record of what I like to hear from you." I have a problem with you. That's literally what the consumer says.
But you
now,
know-
when the art now here's
There's a name I want to throw up in
That's
there
the
with.
cognitive dissonance that people have with the people that dislike the "If I Ruled the World" record
right.
from Nas. Like, because remember, it was split. It was like, what is he trying to do with this poppy radio record?
Right.
What we want is the message.
Well, right.
That's what we want to see.
Right.
Like, what is this extra thing here? What we want is, because I Gave You Power is on that. Right.
Talking about guns. They want that.
They want that.
They want that.
But can I say the name Tupac and how he was all over the place?
No, that's the stick to Nasir Jones.
Okay.
Because because no.
All right.
Because within 50 years of hip hop, okay, that we're getting to, there are things that are one of ones. And within the ones of ones, you can't put them in the category that speaks to everything because they are their own entity within itself. Okay, but just like when somebody says, what's Jay-Z's best album? Who's going to do a Jay-Z versus? Stop the conversation right there.
Right.
Okay, he has way too much catalog.
Yeah.
He's done way too much.
Yeah.
He's hip hop's first billionaire. Yeah. Okay, so the conversation is a completely different thought process.
Real quick, when we talked about the verses.
At some point, the most Grammy nominated
Album artist of all time.
Yeah.
Artists, like not rapper.
Just artists in general.
Of all time.
The guard guy I'm telling you about with the radio, he said, yeah, I would love to see a verses with Mary J and Beyonce. And I'm like, the catalog Mary J has, I mean, are you kidding me? It's way too deep. Beyonce?
That's interesting.
Too deep.
Only
She got too many albums, too many hits.
But you gotta remember.
So
Beyonce's a world.
So we're gonna come back
I don't
to
think she can mess
verses.
with Mary at all.
We're gonna come back to verses because that's his own entity of a conversation. All right, and I'll add just so we all have a point about the verses. It's also 2 different generations. Okay, so you can't sit back and say I want Shaka Khan to go against Whitney Houston. Can't necessarily really do that.
Yeah, because Mary's considered a legend now. She's been around so long.
All right?
91,
and
92.
and
right?
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying that
It's kinda off, like,
that
off
barrier
kill.
hasn't been toppled yet with verses.
doesn't
so I don't
balance.
know if it's fair or not.
Right.
Okay, I know what Ozzy Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire can do.
Right.
I don't know what the Barge and Earth, Wind and Fire could do.
Even though they're old, like older generation, but they're far off from each
other.
other.
We're talking 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, Earth, Wind and Fire,
You know,
70s.
Earth, Wind and-
Okay, the Barge is 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not comparing the content. I'm just saying that that's what that would be, and they're both and they're both older. So maybe we could appreciate that, but I don't know.
Right,
All right.
right.
But going back to the Nasir Jones point, as far as you were saying, the indifference of what is he doing, right? Let's talk about that, Lou, because again, this is a good place to kind of have this conversation. A lot of times, people have these processes and feelings about things up without recognizing the business of what's going on. Okay, so let's go right back to your point, Lou, as far as saying I gave you power, right? People have to realize that as 5-star Source magazine, it was written and how it became the classic album of all classic albums. It was gold. It didn't sell 5 million copies. It's gold. So if you're a record label, again, first album, they're going to build and grow, right? You're saying he had 3 radio hits. We sold 500,000 records. We shot 1, 2, 3. We shot 3 videos, if not more. And we paid the A-lister producers to put this album together at that point in time in hip hop. We now have to sit at a table and say, what are we doing moving forward to grow this artist and to get him where he has to go? See how that conversation rolls? Okay? One of your simple conversations is that, well, watch how simple this sounds if you're at that table. Well, the Fugees are good and Lauren sings, oh, let's get Lauren on the hook with him. He's the great rapper. She's the great rap singer. That sounds like 1 + 1 = a hit record.
And they're both Rough Columbia.
And they both on Columbia. Simple that, right? Well, we can't afford to be paying Pete Rock prices and Primo prices left and right, back and forth. What about the track masters, guys? Isn't Steve Stout managing them? You see, that's simple conversation. That's just business talk. That's not industry. That's not fan perception. It's industry talk, right? So then when they say, here's what the label says to that point, Lou. I gave you the power. The label saying, I need more than 500,000 records. Okay? And I know what Lauren on the hook does lately. And she's ours. I ain't got to clear her. I just got to cut an additional check out this boy's album budget. I'm saying things right now that people haven't even heard before in conversation about a record. She's on the label. I don't have to go get her. I don't have to pay Whitney Houston to be on the hook.
Bring her in the room.
I bring her in the room.
Yeah.
They may be in the building at the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pull this together, and then when it happens, it's 1.1 make 2, and then when the second album does 3 million copies instead of 500,000 copies, and it still has I gave you the power on it, the label says, shut the F up. We got what we need. We gave you what you want. Keep it moving. Next album, Diddy on the hook. We'll take the next big guy and put him on the hook.
See, the interesting thing about when we have these discussions, you will always see things from the business side. Being in the business so long, like I speak from fan perception, not from being like an A&R or industry person or whatever. So I think it's a good thing because we'll have a difference in opinion on what we like, not what we feel was the biggest record, you know, or sold the most, but of what we like. So when I speak on what's my favorite, it's from a fan perspective, not from kind of what the industry's doing with that artist and the business side of it. That's the yin and the yang of me and you, which makes it good.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we have these conversations and he's not here to defend himself. I say this regular time. I say this all the time. Make the record. Because you make the record, everything's off the table. Everything's at the table. The fans are happy. The label is happy. Radio is happy. You can go on tour. They'll spend money. It's all good. Make the record. Don't make variations of the record and have a descriptive defense of why you made the record. You didn't make the record. It's like winning the Super Bowl. You win the Super Bowl. Okay? If that's the case, everybody shut up. If not, well, this is what. Start over. Next year, go win the Super Bowl. So that's why I love that's why when the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill comes out, I go, yes. Yeah. The world is fine.
That's another
there is
great
nothing
album.
wrong with this record. The girls are happy. Female empowerment is happy. Hip hop is happy. Radio is happy. Right? She's singing. She's singing. She's rapping. Right? She made a record with D'Angelo. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, that was a joint.
Right?
I used to love that song, man. That was a joint. Nothing even matters. Used to love that joint.
To this day.
Yeah, I know that was your joint. Certain things stick with me. I remember.
Okay. But that's what you crave. You know, Amy Winehouse. Make the Amy Winehouse record. Just make it. Mark Ronson, great job. Salaam Remi, great job. Put Ghostface on the remix. Great job. Let her sing her raw vocals. It translates. There's no conversation about it. When you do stuff like that, that takes it off the table. And I love when people want to debate it all the time. When I'm like, you're not getting it. You're just debating one side of the fence compared to the other side of the fence. Watch this part. And that side of the fence doesn't pay you anything. So you're just giving your opinion out loud for 10 minutes. Okay? Just go make the record. That's what I learned a long time ago. I told you the story when Step Into a World was done with KRS-One. I was late for the A&R meeting. They was like, "Where the hell are you at?" I was like, "You know what I got? The record." Saw it, and when I walked in the room an hour and a half late, they said, "It's okay, cause you have
the record. You have it, yeah."
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And when I learned that day, because I remember the CEO told me this. I mentioned this before. He said a hit record tells you what to do. When you got to figure out what to do with the record ain't a hit.
Right.
When the record's a hit record, you say, oh, we got to get to
It
the radio,
leads.
we got to the video, we got to the radio, you got to
It leads the way.
Okay, it leads the way.
Yeah.
So that's the culmination of all these artists having all this talent, all this ability, and they can play this and do that, and they know this person, know that person, have access to this studio, and they have background singers, and they can start a tour and this, that, third, and blah, blah, blah. All to me is of irrelevance unless you make the record. Mm-hmm. Yep. Alicia Keys is all those things, and was stumbling left and right until she made Falling. All of a sudden, it's the Alicia Keys career. Another album that came out 25 years ago. Important album. 1 in a Million, Aaliyah.
Oh.
Remember, this is her post not being with Jive anymore and her beginning with Missy and Timbaland.
It's a good album.
1 in a Million was big.
It's a good album.
1 in a Million was big. 1 in a Million was big. All right, I got one for you. And then we can walk into a story. Okay? Mount Rushmore. Okay? You ready? Mount Rushmore of urban labels.
The Mount Rushmore.
Do you like examples?
The Mount Rushmore.
4. Remember, Mount Rushmore is 4. The Mount Rushmore of urban labels. Taking consideration culture, taking consideration impact, and then taking consideration records. Those are my 3 basic parameters. I'll let you add what you want.
Is there a...
In totality.
In totality.
In totality.
You want me to answer first?
Whoever wants to go first. This one likes to think.
I'm not thinking.
Okay.
I'm not thinking. I'm listening.
Def Jam.
That was what I was going to
That's
say.
a label. That's a label.
I was going to say Def Jam first.
Okay,
that was the
that's
first
fine.
thing I was going to say.
That's fine. No, it's fine. That's fine.
That was my first thing I was going to say.
That's fine.
Def Jam, Uptown, Bad Boy Rockefeller.
What you got?
You talking about historically too? Are we talking about like Motown?
R&B is not 1,000 years old.
But I'm saying because you got to say Motown. You got to throw that in there.
Don't tell me what you got to do. Pick your 4.
Def Jam, Motown. Let me see. I guess you have to say Rockefeller and Bad Boy. I'm trying to see if it's somebody else I'm leaving out. But we got to say Jive too.
Jive,
Jive, okay, but it had a lot of monstrous artists that did big things.
All right, so
but you talking about selling millions and billions of records?
I'm not talking about selling. I'm just saying I gave you different things.
Of the artist wise.
You done? You gonna keep
I'm still thinking, but go ahead.
Right. So obviously, number 1, and Usain Bolt ahead of everybody else is Motown. Is Motown. Okay. What else we got?
Def Jam.
No. I'm gonna give you a good one because nobody said this name. And I'm not saying this on the Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying I'm making go, Okay. Hindsight being 2020 with all the things that person has touched. Aftermath.
Okay. All right.
It's definitely in the bracket. It's in the bracket, right? Aftermath is in the bracket. Death Row is in the bracket.
Death Row.
Cash Money's in the bracket.
Cash Money's in the bracket. No Limits in the bracket.
No Limits in the bracket.
Right.
So I think we have a tier 1 and a tier 2.
Maybe you March Madness the thing.
Right, top 16, and we eliminate to see who to win. Well, it's going to be unfair because Motown's going to win, but the other 15 would be interesting, right? So Motown's unequivocally the number 1 because just from the culture standpoint, it means historically is 1. I'm going to go Def Jam number 2 because the formulation of what a hip hop label should really be and should really do. Okay, lands. I know Uptown will argue it, but it lands at Def Jam. It lands at Def Jam. Now here's what you're gonna do. Like Aftermath is saying, what did Russell do? Right. That's how that works.
But Uptown is an offspring
And also,
of Def Jam.
very true, because Andre worked at Def Jam. People not know that. Okay. Number 3 to me is Bad Boy. Is Bad Boy. I want to say Rockefeller for number 4 because of how big Jay is, but I really want to say it's actually Aftermath because of the different things. See, Rockefeller's hip hop. Okay. Aftermath is movies, videos. They've done R&B. You don't get, like, for example, Rockefeller, like, Aftermath gives you Anderson .Paak. Rockefeller gives you Rel. That's not a knock. I'm just saying what it is.
Nah, that was a knock.
No, it was not a knock.
Yeah, because, bro, I love Loves for Free. That's my joint. But,
Love and Free was hot, though.
but you didn't have much
Me
else.
too.
Love
Loves
Free was
for
hot.
Free is no.
Dinky Bingham.
Love and Free was hot.
That's my joint.
Love
It's
Free was
classic. It's classic.
So I think I'm going to go Aftermath 4th. Yeah, I know Jay's a billionaire, and if you're going to think money, of course you're going to go there.
No.
But even there, it's post.
It's fair. Like, you have to think about artists that were on the label
Exactly.
that didn't make it.
Right. On Rockefeller.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a brick for Aftermath was Truth Hurts. That's like a brick for Aftermath.
Yeah.
And the firm.
And the firm. And watch this. And you still got the Truth Hurts record with Rakim, which was Fire Sticks.
it was
and you
major.
still got Phone Tap from the firm. It's Esco, who this? With the dilly.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. So let's go into a little bit more. Okay. Think about like the things culture-wise that each one has given us that we all have hindsight with it being 2020. So literally the foundation of what R&B is to this day is based upon what Motown has put into motion. Literally. Right? The concept of putting artists together with other artists, that's all Motown. Putting records together, putting teams together, writing teams, producing teams. This is all hodgepodge before they got to Motown. The corporation who wrote the Jackson records compared to McFadden and Whitehead. Before they did Ain't No Stopping Us Now, they were writers for Motown. Ashford and Simpson were writers for Motown. They wrote the Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell records.
What was the name of the music guys?
The Funk Brothers.
The Funk Brothers.
They were the band.
Produced,
They were the
in-house
band.
in-house
They
band.
were the in-house band
In-house
that
band
basically
at
were
Motown.
outhouse jazz musicians working on everybody else's record and came in to come together for stuff like that. You know, you can get caught up into the sound, the studio, and stuff like that, but you literally have to say, like, okay, here's my phrase, Lou, right? It doesn't exist if this didn't happen. We're not ready for it. We're not here doing this right now if there was no Motown. That's how significant they are
It's a fact.
for their offsprings. All right, so who do we say was number 2? Def Jam.
Def Jam.
So that being the case, in your previous statement about one of ones, can we exclude Motown from the Mount Rushmore?
Yes, we can.
Because anything after that that's black labels is an offspring of Motown.
Of Motown, yes.
Motown.
And Motown is the one of one.
So
Yes. So
take
that
Motown off the list and make it Rushmore now.
it starts with Def Jam still.
Def Jam.
Bad Boys number 2.
Number 2.
Bad Boys number 2.
Not
And Aftermath is number 3?
No. Uptown's number 3.
Oh, okay.
Uptown's number 3.
Then Aftermath and Rockefeller.
Aftermath is number 4.
And Rockefeller.
And you could I'm not giving Rockefeller number. I can't give Rockefeller number 5. I can't give number 4.
It's fair because Memphis Bleak never did well.
Right.
Beanie and Truth never did really well.
Yeah.
So
retail.
so watch where we can go with this.
Culturally,
Watch
sure.
where we can go with this.
Go.
Okay. Rockefeller's executive office game takes them out of number 4.
Agreed. Agreed.
There wasn't a Jimmy Love at Rockefeller. There wasn't a Kirk Burroughs, Harv Pierre
Or Kurt Woodley.
at Rockefeller.
Right.
That's what hurt them. That's what hurts that conversation. True. Other half of it too is that half of the J career we love is not Rockefeller.
Yeah.
We have to stop. We have to stop at the album, the Return album. What was the Return with him?
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come. You have to stop there. Because there's when he came back. When he did Show Me What You Got. Right? That was technically, he still had to kind of do that on Rockefeller. Technically. But at that point in time, it was over. Hindsight being 2020. At that point in time, the relationship was irreparably, couldn't be repaid at that point in time.
Behind the scenes, it was over after the Black album.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right, but he came back to that album for the right reasons, quote in hindsight. But after that, everything else was Jay doing Jay over there, not Jay doing things with a Rockefeller standpoint. At that point, remember, at this point in time, we're no longer saying, Clue, Rel, Christian Neef. We're no longer doing that.
Screaming out all the rock members.
Which he was doing before. Mm-hmm. I'm going Uptown number 3 because Def Jam, although it's all hip-hop and not R&B, Def Jam was mission-based on establishing Def Jam being Def Jam. Mission-based. They selected artists specifically. I mean, Dre learned that as well, too, okay? But what happened, which was different, and then Lou's going to jump in here, is that when Def Jam was on fire, Def Jam was a machine, making smashes after smashes, and making different versions of smashes. Yeah. Like Public Enemy was not LL Cool J, and they were smashes. Mm-hmm. When they bought Fresh Records and acquired EPMD and Nice and Smooth, see, people don't recognize stuff like that. Okay, they was making monster records that did not sound anything else, but it was all like, but that's Def Jam, no. Okay. When
ran an entire management company.
Because in our eyes, Run DMC was on Def Jam. Yeah. They're on Profile. Whereas Uptown was doing the same exact thing.
With MCA?
With MCA, but respectfully, they were fly within their walk. Def Jam was making records. I think I could say this respectfully, and this is where it hurt a little bit of Uptown. Uptown was making executives and making records. Mm. Because the executives all went on to do different things, bigger, better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the executive was just almost as fly as the artist. Mm. Whereas at Def Jam, it was the artist.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm giving Def Jam the label more focus, because at the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to be.
But
I said we're gonna jump in.
This is debate 2 or 3 for Uptown, because just kind of like how we had to exclude Motown for the DNA of everything. Mm-hmm. The DNA between Uptown and Bad Boy is just too strong. Like, you don't get Bad Boy without Uptown.
But I will. Okay, if we're going technically, okay.
I see where he's going.
I'm going to be Quan in this one. So technically, you're 1,000% correct, because of in theory, if you want to take it where you're landing it, then we got to exclude Uptown and Bad Boy, because it's birthed from Def Jam.
Yeah,
Def Jam's the mother. Def Jam birthed the child that birthed the child.
But that DNA isn't as strong. You know why? Because Dre, if I'm correct, he wasn't an executive at Def Jam. He was an executive at Rush.
Yes.
The management company.
Right.
He was a manager. That's not label shit. And Dre, Jimmy,
went on to go to
Russell.
Right.
All hung out together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it would be if the 3 of us all had labels, and even though, let's say, Tally became Def Jam, and I'm Andre and I'm making Uptown, that DNA is close, but it's not as strong as I hired
Sean Combs.
I hired Sean Combs.
Right.
I taught Sean Combs how to do this, and I negotiated on his behalf with Clive Davis for him to get his deal separately when I fired him.
Right. I get it. I can take that. And for the record, remember, Heavy D bought Puffy to Andre.
That's fact.
You got to come grab this kid.
And Jeff Red bought Mary J.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay. We will get you. I would love
Fact
that
checker.
story. I would love that story. I would love to hear that story. So that's why I put Def Jam ahead of Uptown and Bad Boy, because Def Jam, although hindsight we know who the executives were, right, and we know the laundry list of names, they were artist focused.
I agree. Def Jam won, right, with the exclusion of Motown.
Right.
Def Jam won, but when we get to 2 and 3,
So now,
if they're in order, and granted,
So now-
Rushmore's horizontal.
So now,
but
if we get into 2 and 3, this is where it gets dip. See, okay, all right. I think it's the nicest way I can say it without it coming across as if it's incorrectly represented. What's unfair to Uptown is the lessons learned that Bad Boy acquired from Uptown to not do the same things. So within that, for lack of a better phrase, Jodeci was bat crazy wild once they started making their money. Puffy said, "Oh hell no, 112, we're not doing that."
you better go on the corner with Stevie J.
That's what we're doing here. So that's what makes it unfair. But I will say, yeah, because the point I'm adding to this equation that everybody's getting creative about, I'm refusing to let them do. I'm saying you have to represent. These are labels. You have to take the executive example of what they're doing and let that lead the way as much as you want to go with the artist and their success. All right? Because you have to be Russell Simmons enough to say, "L, after you made some big old butt, right? I'm getting your queen's butt with Marley Marl. And you gonna make Booming System. And you gonna make Around the Way Girl." That's a label talking. See what I'm saying? That's you know what I'm saying? It's even Mary. Mary is Jeff Red bring her to Motown and them not knowing what to do, and then Andre saying, "Okay, take this one."
I think he brought it to Andre.
No, I'm saying no. Her at the label at this point.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
All right, dancing in Father MC videos, boy. Take her and go make something happen.
The first big thing was his debut, Puff, was dancing in Stacey Ladisaw's video.
Yes, wait.
You remember that?
Wasn't Johnny Gill dancing?
That was his
video too?
debut. It was a Stacey Ladishaw.
Jesus.
Stacey Ladishaw video. It was his first time
Right.
in the dancing
See,
studio.
I told you, peanuts, apple, see, right? All over the place. But that's so, but and then another thing too is that the long-standing impact of the music on the culture. Uptown goes to a point and Bad Boy keeps going. And I'm taking Christopher Wilds off the table for that conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, like just just talk R&B for a second. Okay? Jodeci is absolutely the bigger group of them all. If you're talking about what's the big group that happened at that, Jodeci is bigger than anybody that's ever been on Bad Boy as far as I'm concerned. Okay? But when you take Faith and you take 112, who am I missing? And you take Carl Thomas, and you see how he's taking that road and taking them down the road and where they are. He's taking them down a further road of length of counting and still being viable, if you will, right? Because Faith is on The Masked Singer, okay, a couple weeks ago. That's how I kind of play that out. I would say I think the biggest impact, like Def Jam's records impacted culture. I think Uptown's culture impacted hip hop and everything else. Like the way they are, we want to be this way. We want to be. Uptown said we want to be fly. Bad Boy said we want to be fly and make money and be hot. Def Jam says we is hip hop. You come here, we is hip hop. Remember, if you was an artist when you were doing your group, where did you want to be signed?
Everybody, every artist in the world wanted to be on Def Jam. I mean, that was it. That was you made it when you were there.